everyone, my name is John Michael Bushman, and welcome to Hearthstone. Yes, I have completely lost control of my life and investing into another card game, but fortunately for me, I have not been able to spend a single penny on this game, and whether that's fortunate or unfortunate depends on the viewer, because a lot of from all of the research that I have done before diving into this game, Hearthstone is one of the worst places to get into right now because of how insanely broken the game has become. But that's coming from a lot of the Hearthstone boomers, and I come from Yu-Gi-Oh! And we deal with broken stuff all the time. We cry about it a little, but just grumble and push on with it because eventually something is gonna get banned, or in the case of Hearthstone, something gets nerfed. Like one of the biggest examples here is Innervate, which is a 0 mana get 1 mana crystal. It used to say get 2 mana crystals, and that was absurdly insane. So, coming in from Yu-Gi-Oh! Into Hearthstone, there was just a couple of things that were going against it, and just a very few couple things. Yu-Gi-Oh! Is just the far more broken game. Hearthstone is very chill in comparison. So with this deck in particular, the 40 card monstrosity you see in front of you, this is actually a combination of two decks in particular, and I will plaster them on screen one at a time. The first one is the deck that it's actually a loner deck that the game just gives you immediately, which is affectionately called Ramp Under the Stars, which is built around a 7 cost. I believe it is a 7 cost. Okay, I found it, and it's actually called Sleep Under the Stars, rather than Ramp Under the Stars. But I'm playing Druid. I'm a green player in Magic the Gathering, and of note, the other thing that got me into just trying Hearthstone out is because a lot of systems in the Shadowverse digital, well, at least in the digital version of Shadowverse, I can definitely see a lot of the influences that they took from Hearthstone, because Hearthstone came out in March of 2014, and then Shadowverse, the digital card game, came out in June of 2016. So there was a 2-year gap between these two games, and I can definitely see where Shadowverse gets a lot of its stuff from now. But the main difference is, and I'm pretty sure this is just an Asian thing, a lot of Hearthstone's, rather, a lot of Shadowverse stuff is very big and splashy. I mean, granted, there are big and splashy things that you can do in Hearthstone as well, but at the very least, Hearthstone has some way to counteract whatever it is that your opponent is doing, or you have ways to push past whatever it is your opponent will do to stop whatever it is you're doing. But in Shadowverse, once the big splashy stuff happens, and I get that feeling in Yu-Gi-Oh as well, they usually have some way to protect that in order to push through whatever it is that they need to do. But going back to the deck here, it was originally a loner deck called Ramp Under the Stars, which is a ramp deck that goes into this, the highlight of the deck, Sleep Under the Stars, which I have actually already decrafted since then, but I didn't really need it. It feels like, I mean, granted, it's 7 mana, potentially draws 2, 4, or 6 cards, or gain 15 armor, or gain back basically the amount of crystals that you spent on it. So if you have 7 mana, and then this has synergies with the other cards that are in the deck as well, but unfortunately, I don't have it in this deck. Well, not anymore, at least. And the other deck that is part of the loner program is as if by fate, and I have been watching his content a lot more recently, is Raran. Raran had a Taunt Druid deck, and if there's one thing I like in 1v1 environments, is either I combo off really, really hard, or I durdle as much as possible. I barely have anything in between. And this is a combination of these two ideals, as both pictures should be up on the screen by now. This is a combination of both decks. This is what the best I could come up with the limited deck building knowledge that I have here on Hearthstone, and this works surprisingly well, especially on the rank ladder right now, where at least in standard, where Reno decks are, well, we call it they call it Reno decks, but it's just Highlander. Where it's built around this guy right here. Well, let's go to the crafting page once again. Excuse me, where it's built around this bastard right here, this Lone Ranger right here, Reno. If you have no duplicates, he's basically a board wipe. And a lot of Reno decks basically build up to this guy, and then they have some other way to kill you. There's this ogre, there's this legendary ogre that they use that adds TNT to your deck, and that will prevent you from basically recovering. So there is that. But this deck surprisingly handles handles itself really really well. And granted, if I had the dust to craft Reno, I would definitely craft Reno, but I have so many duplicates in this deck that I simply cannot support Reno. So Ragnaros, I mean, as bad as he is, he's just a curve filler. Until I can get the dust necessary to craft what I need to do here. But otherwise, my impressions of this game, at least on initial blush, the game does indeed give you enough to be able to craft at least one deck. Maybe even two if you're going to be generous. But otherwise, you're going to have to grind, and the grind is it's the chief complaint that I do indeed see. The grind to getting to the materials to build another deck is really really slow. That's definitely a turnoff for some players, and I have actually been wanting to spend even just a little, just to give Blizzard. As bad as it is as bad as it is, credit where credit is due. Hearthstone is at the very least the least of all evils that Blizzard has produced over the past couple of years. Granted, the way to to just get the whales to spend on this game are the alt arts that well, I call it alt arts, but it's just animated arts of some of the cards that they have here. But honestly, I'd rather just turn those into dust as soon as possible, because it's just a flex that your cards are animated. It doesn't change the effects whatsoever. Although, granted, there are some cards that are locked behind certain achievements, and that's the part that I do not like at all. But enough about me, my rants and short review of the game. It's a great game. Don't get me wrong, it's a great game. It's been going strong for 10 years for a reason, so they're definitely doing something right. We are way past the Ben Brode era where everything is balanced, and from the stories that I hear, the Grand Tournament set, which is a set that was so balanced that that it drove people out of the game. And here we are now, 10 years later. So to go over the card by card of what this card does, and I'm pretty sure I still have the two images of the two decks that I got inspiration from. You ramp up, and hopefully your the creatures in this deck are fortunately big enough that they can somewhat take over the game. I mean, getting to Ziliax 3000 is usually a win con in of itself, or outlasting your opponent basically with Hydration Station. This deck, by the way, won't work in wilds. This deck is just way too slow for the wild format, which is the non-rotating format that Hearthstone has. But we'll get to that format probably once all of the cards or at least majority of the cards in this deck are rotated out, because I will not be playing standard for too long, because I prefer non-rotating formats. But otherwise, we'll be playing standard for the time being, until a lot of the cards in this deck are rotated out, because standard is at least a smaller card pool, to say the least. And like I said, the main win con of the deck, just outlast your opponent. A lot of the creatures in this deck are decently sized, especially the top end of the curve, and the entire 40 card thing is only possible due to this guy right here, Prince Renathal. And literally the only reason he's in the deck is to make the deck size and starting health 40, and sometimes that one turn is more than enough to make you survive the aggro matchup. That's his only purpose. I mean, he's also like decently statted, 3 mana 3/4, so he survives a lot of combat stuff, but I would cut him if I could, especially but if only for his ability, he's in the deck. So to go over the other parts of the deck, Innervate, I mean, this has been a Druid staple ever since. I don't think I need to explain more. This has been nerfed to only give you one mana crystal rather than two, so there's something to say about that. Cactus Construct was a card that I did not really believe in at first, but then having the value of having a 1/1 version of any minion for that matter. And also, before I go deeper into this deck, I'm going to assume that you play Hearthstone, or at the very least are mildly interested in Hearthstone. Otherwise, I sadly will not be too much help here, because I literally only just started a couple of weeks ago prior to recording this video. So you're going to have to go for your Hearthstone 101s elsewhere. Cactus Construct is a lot better than it looks, because having two creatures for one card is usually good enough. And then moving next to Malfurion's Gift, what you would usually go for here is the Wild Growth, and Wild Growth has rotated out of standard long ago now. And in the wild format, there's actually a power crept version of Wild Growth, which is called Invigorate. Invigorate is a power crept version of Wild Growth, because you have the option to either gain a mana crystal or draw a card instead for the same cost. Or if you don't need that, you can instead make no, I forgot that we're on that page. If you need a board wipe, you can just go with swipe instead. So this is just Mafio's Gift is just two other copies of swipe. Or if you have literally nothing else to do with your mana, you can just use Feral Rage to attack into your opponent. And I have won games where I use Feral Rage to attack for lethal, or even swipe for that matter. They cost the same anyway, so there's also that. So Feral Rage and or Swipe are ways to basically get over certain things, or if you want to remove creatures on board, you can use Swipe instead. Swipe is still like, I even have two copies of Swipe in here, so this is basically the third and fourth copy of Swipe. Should you need it to be, but otherwise, you're usually using this for Wild Growth. And take note, temporary cards go away at the end of the turns. That's what the temporary tag is for. So Malfurion's Gift into Wild Growth is usually a turn 3 play rather than a turn 2 play, because of the temporary debuff. And then moving on to the next card, Lifebinder's Gift. The only reason this is in the deck is it's for the second one, where it reduces the cost of spells by 1. There aren't exactly a lot of spells in this deck. Probably around half of it, which, now think about it, is indeed a lot. Half the deck is spells, so there is that. But if you don't exactly have anything to do with your 2-drop, with your 2 mana, you can just go with Lifebinder's Bloom instead. And usually the 2 nature spells that you get are decent. What I would prefer is getting the nature spell from the Shaman class, where it deals 3 damage to all minions, well, enemy minions for that matter. But otherwise, yeah, usually the stuff that Lifebinder's Bloom gives you is helpful for that specific situation. Moving on to the next card, we have Trail Mix. You get 2 mana crystals next turn only. So this is something that you have to plan for ahead of time. What you would usually do is, if you have a 7-drop or any higher cost stuff in your hand for that matter, and you have a way to get to it quickly or rather, you will have a way to get to it quickly using Trail Mix. So this is why it's in the deck. And yeah, it's a way to cheat out higher cost stuff. But otherwise, you can even go the slightly spicier route of having 2-3 drops in hand, and then you use Trail Mix on turn 4, I believe. Yeah, around turn 4, and then you use Trail Mix so that you can drop the 2-3 drops that you have here in this deck, which I'll get to. And then Wrath, this is old reliable, this is removal, or, just deal 1 damage, draw a card, which is also technically removal, but sometimes I use this on, if I literally can't do anything else for my turn, I usually target one of my high health minions, and then so that I can just draw 1 card. It can work, and there's usually no downside to using Wrath. Yeah, it's still pretty reliable, even to this day. Up next, we have Frost Lotus Seedling, which is I usually wait for this thing to bloom, where it draws me 2 cards and gains me 10 armor instead. But sometimes, just draw 1 card, gain 5 armor is usually good enough, because you don't want to be drawing too many cards with this. Like, granted, you are a 40-card deck compared to the usual 30, but you would usually, at least in standard, you usually have the time to make this blossom, so that you will draw two cards and gain 10 armor instead. And gaining 10 armor is like gaining 10 more health. And this you're going to want to have this in your deck somehow. Up next, we have Hiking Trail. This is the beginning of the taunts. There are a lot of ways to get into taunt minions, and a lot of the top end of this deck are all like taunt minions, and a couple of other like splashy cards as well that you don't really want to have, but they're just big and splashy. I just threw him in the deck anyway because I ramp a lot with this deck. But starting with the taunt stuff, Hiking Trail is definitely one of them. It discovers any taunt minion within the current standard format that you are in. Although, of course, if you're in the Wilds format, the card pool that this searches through is far, far wider. So you have more options there. But you would usually get something that is appropriate for that situation. And I say usually with air quotes here because if there's one thing about Hearthstone, it's definitely the variance. Is supposedly one of the things that drives people away from this game, but I like variance, unfortunately. And if it works out in my favor, good. If it doesn't, well, shit. That's just something I have to live with. Moving on to the next 3-drop, New Heights. I mean, increase maximum mana by 3 and then gain an empty mana crystal. This is a way to basically cheat the 10 mana crystal limit. Having these basically playing 2 of these will get you to 16 mana, which opens you up to even more plays. And then combined with the other stuff, like say the wild growth that you get off of Malfurion's gift, you would usually get way more mana than that. And then Pendant of Earth is just a way to choose. This is basically just extra copies of the other minions, especially the high cost ones that you have here in the deck. Also a way to restore health in the process. Sometimes that will help, especially against the more aggressive decks. I can definitely see like Warrior or Paladin being a problem, especially against this deck, which loves to set up a lot. And I have faced off against my fair share of aggressive decks, and usually using this is a way to mitigate a lot of the damage that they have done. Prince Renethal is in the deck solely to just turn it into a 40 card deck. He literally has no other purpose apart from that. Although having plus 10 health is, again, helpful against the more aggressive matchups. Stonehill Defender is a card that a lot of people supposedly hyped up during its time in the preview season and still sees play to this day, surprisingly. It's a neutral minion, and being a 3-mana 1/5, it definitely stonewalls a lot. Although, granted, if it gets later into the game, sometimes your opponent will have a creature that can just one-shot this guy. But this is basically 2 creatures tied into one, and this is also like another copy of Hiking Trail here. Swipe, Ultra Reliable, deal 4 damage to one thing and then 1 damage to all other things. Sometimes this will change the combat math on your side, usually, or this is a way to get over your opponent's opposing taunt minions. So there is that. Tortolan Traveler is a slightly power crept version of Stonehill Defender because it gets your taunt creatures that are already in the deck, but it reduces their cost by 2. So having a 4 mana Toyrantas when you already have 10 mana crystals, so you basically have a 4 mana 14/14. And I have stolen games thanks to Toyrantas having that effect. So there is that. And again, another Tortolan that is just going to block for days. So there is that. Trog Gem Tosser is a card that I initially didn't believe in at first. And one thing you have to keep in mind, Finale will only trigger if it's literally the last spell you cast. So you will even have to do math when you're casting your stuff. And also of note, spells and minions are completely different card types. This isn't Magic the Gathering where every card is a spell. No. Minions and spells and locations and other card types are completely different things. So there is that. Trog Gem Tosser has to be the last thing you cast, or else it will not trigger its effect. Otherwise, it's just a 3 mana 3/2. And I have stolen games with this little guy right here. And having 3 attack is also surprisingly significant because it can trade with a lot of minions that have the same stat line. So there is also that. Greybow is a card that I have been cutting in and out of the deck, but having him in the main deck anyway, and I can tutor him out using Hiking Trail anyway, so I can have extra copies of Greybow, and he's just a hard to get rid of minion, especially if you have like two other minions on the board, and Greybow dies first. Although granted, smarter opponents will kill the other minions first before they kill Greybow, so that he won't keep coming back. Excuse me, I almost burped there. Holy shit. But yeah, that's his only purpose in the deck. He's a really annoying taunt minion. Tyrantus is the biggest taunt minion in the deck. The 7/7 is deceptive. You're usually casting him for his battle cry, which gives him +7/+7, so he turns him into a 14/14, and not a lot of decks can answer that, especially in the standard format. Although granted, your opponent can also have like minions that are also just as big, or they will waste their entire board just trying to take Tyrantos down, so that's already a plus in your book. So yeah, and also being elusive, so he cannot be targeted by I believe, yeah, can't be targeted by spells or hero powers. So he's also immune to a lot of traditional removal as well. So he definitely checks a lot of boxes in my book. Up next is probably the strangest card in the deck, which is Doomkin. This is also a ramp spell on a creature, surprisingly. It does take your opponent's math off by a bit. This card in particular is really, really good if you're like very far ahead in terms of mana. If you have like about 7 mana on turn 5, or maybe even turn 4, if you like ramp really well, if you have 7 mana by then, you will be setting your opponent back by a lot if this guy comes out. And I have stolen a couple of games because I stole one of my opponent's mana crystals, setting them back like a turn or two, and yet that's usually more than enough. And being a 4/5 is surprisingly decent as well, because it survives a lot of minions that your opponent could potentially put out that are like 2 or 3 attack, and then the Doomkin would tank that pretty well. And yeah, ramping is well and good, especially in my book. Then up next is Marin the Manager. This guy has no other purpose in the deck apart from the fact that he is just really, really flashy. You could cut this guy along with Ragnaros the Firelord, because there are just way better legendaries. And one rule that you have to keep in mind with legendaries, in case you're unfamiliar with Hearthstone, you can only have one copy of it in your deck. That's why there's a star on it. Marin the Manager is only really here for one thing and one thing only, and that's his fantastic treasures. What I would usually go for is the Wondrous Wand, because sometimes Tolan's Goblet screws me over. And Zog's Crown also screws me over as well, because sometimes the legendary minion that it summons is something that I don't need at that current moment. Golden Kobold, same thing. This guy is only really useful for the taunt, and sometimes the legendary minions that he replaces your hand with are not useful for that specific situation. And but it's a way to like grind games out, especially against, like I said, the Reno decks that are in standard right now. I have outground a lot of Reno decks using Marin alone, and but usually the card to go for with this Rundus Treasures is, of course, the Wondrous Wand, because reducing the cost by 3 is usually huge for the standard environment. So keep him in mind as you play this game, and he's a 6/6 as well, so he's no slouch when it comes to the combat department as well. Up next, we have Hydration Station here on the docket. This just resurrects a lot of the taunt minions that you have been using all throughout the game, and this is just redundancy, just to annoy the fuck out of your opponent. Yeah, this is usually, especially if you've already used like Ziliax, this is a way to bring him back. Although granted, this doesn't trigger the battle cries that your minions will have, so keep that in mind as you use Hydration Station. Ragnaros the Fire Lord, again, this is just curve filler. He is an 8/8, so it's a must answer by your opponent. It can't attack, yes, but you know, hearing die insect over and over again doesn't get tiresome in the slightest. I don't know why. Then moving on to Ziliax, probably my favorite card out of the bunch. You can he's actually technically a 0 cost. But you can build him however you want. But usually the one that I see the most is having twin module and perfect module, because virus module actually lowers his stats a little, and because it only makes him a 1/4. Although granted, poisonous is something to keep in mind. But divine shield, taunt, lifesteal, and rush is usually like more than enough. And then having twin module as well, so that you can have 2 copies of this Ziliax, and it also gives him like the most amount of stats. So there's a reason why twin module and perfect module are the ones being used to customize Ziliax. And then the 2 final cards to fill out the 10-drop slot, we have Aeonar, the Planeswalker, quote unquote, because it's a Titan, and so is Yogg Saron actually. Aeonar, what you would usually only use her for is for Flourish, which is her first ability, which allows you to refresh your mana crystals. And apart from that, she can usually die at that point. You In the games that I've played with Aeonar, usually just refreshing the mana crystals is more than enough, and I'm more than happy to lose her at that point. And usually my opponent would like clear my board out by the time I would use her other abilities again. So there is also that. But if it does indeed get to the longer games, her other abilities, Spontaneous Growth and Bountiful Harvest, as you can see here, they can come up, especially in the grindier matchups. So do keep her in mind as you played in the standard format, at least in the current standard format. Yogg Saron, the Unleashed, I mean, it's randomness. What more could I say? This is, by the way, this version of Yogg, I believe, is nerfed at this point. I believe he used to say that he costs 1 less to cast for every spell that has been cast this game, if I remember correctly, or card that has been played, if I remember correctly. This is already the nerfed version of him, and yeah, he's definitely way worse now. But having 2 random spells be cast for free is usually like good enough, and sometimes he's only really used for the Induce Insanity or Reign of Chaos, and then he would usually die soon after the fact because he's only at 5 health, so he dies to a lot of the removal that is traditionally used here in the standard format. And I believe they also did that with his nerf as well, that whenever he uses an ability, he would usually cast a spell that would either take him close to death or outright kill him as well. So you only really have 1 shot at using Yogg Saron. He's called the Random King for a reason. And honestly, I could use a little chaos in this game that we call Hearthstone. And yeah, that is my extremely scuffed deck tech. I will definitely be cutting a lot of the stuff that that would make this way longer than it needs to be. But otherwise, yeah, this is my build. Again, a marriage of the 2 loner decks that the game starts you out with, and it works surprisingly well on the rank ladder. So without further ado, let's jump into these duels. Wait, why did I say duels? What do you say in Hearthstone? Brawls? Because technically we're in the tavern, so I guess we'll get into these brawls.
Malfurion versus Garrosh.
Yeah, that's the one thing I like about Hearthstone. The voice acting at the very least in this game is amazing. And I have actually been considering if I want to cover the single player modes for this game, but I am deciding against it. The Shadowverse ones burned me out way too much. So I'm just gonna do it in my own time. Granted, you do have motivation for doing the single player stuff as well, because it does give you rewards for doing it as well. And I did not want to draw you, Ragnaros. How dare you end up in my hand immediately? I'm just gonna pass back. Oh my god. I'm going to turbo out the Malfurion's Gift so that we can ramp up to my turn. And opponent is being aggressive right away with Bash, which is a spell that deals 3 damage and gains 3 armor. So yeah, go on ahead, opponent. Now it's my turn, and we are drawing cards that I would rather have in the deck, like Jesus Christ. So we're gonna use the coin right away, which is a go second catch-up mechanic that Hearthstone gives you here. But yeah, we're just gonna ramp out. We will be ahead of our opponent by the time it comes back around to our turn. I believe we should go for Hiking Trail first, because we're still at 37 health, so we're pretty far from doing our thing here. And okay, they discarded a card that is scary. We already have Torontos, which is a card that I would rather fetch out with Tortolan Traveler here. So let's just gamble a little. We're gonna get Hiking Trail, and we're gonna see who we get. An additional copy of Greybow is always nice. As much as I want to use the Shapeshift here to gain armor, I'm not going to because I have other targets that I want to play. Let's see. One thing about the Hearthstone field as well is you can't interact with a lot of the stuff that is on the board. Oh, we have Grifta. Great. He's going to give me something bad. Deal 6 damage to a minion. Yeah, I know. I'm going to kill Grifta himself. Unless I can... Yep, okay. I can target opponent's minions with this thing. So at this point, I think I'd rather play the Tortolan Traveler first. Yeah. And then we're going to use Innervate here to turbo out, or rather to turbo out the search spell, and we're going to get I guess Stonehill Defender or the other Greybow. I think we're gonna get Stonehill Defender. We're gonna stall out just a little bit more. What's the name of that spell? Yeah, there we go. Pendant of Earth. There we go. Let's see what my opponent has for me here. And one thing also I like about Hearthstone, it's good. It's a good game to watch, and thank you, opponent, for giving me that. And because of the pacing of this game, it's also like I can just have this game running and not have to do too many cuts, unless of course my opponent like does something crazy, and I'm gonna kill his Mr. Grifta now because he is starting to annoy the fuck out of me. We're gonna discover a minion. Hopefully it'll be a 2-cost one. No, we do not. We're not that lucky, unfortunately. So we're gonna get a Stonehill Defender, and we'll try again. That is not what I would have wanted, but Snuggle Teddy is 2 creatures in 1 body, so we will get that instead, and we will finally use our hero power, which is something that is like wholly unique to Hearthstone here. And okay, yeah, we have 9 cards in hand, and the next card in hand will unfortunately fill our hand up. So we're gonna have to start casting spell. We're gonna have to start putting all these creatures down. Oh god, Ham the Hungry. That is going to eliminate stuff out of mine. Renathal is fine. I am more than happy to lose that guy. Oh my god, so we'll unfortunately have to use Swipe because Ham will eventually get rid of the stuff that we have in our deck. So I'd rather get rid of him now rather than later. Then we'll use Tortolan Traveler, and then we're gonna pass back to our opponent here. Again, 3 mana 1/5. They're going to have to work just a little bit harder to do what they need to do here. Okay, yep, using Craftsman's Hammer to bash in. One thing about Warrior, something to keep in mind, they have ways to gain a lot, and I mean a lot of armor. So it's like fighting someone with a lot of extra health. So now we're going to get Talon Hoarding, then also summon out Greybow, which is already pretty decent. So now I have a wall, and my opponent hasn't been too offensive just yet. And yeah, this is what 40 card Taunt Druid looks like. And ooh, okay, sure. I will be more than happy with any one of them dying, honestly. And yeah, okay, Stonehill Defender for 1 mana. And also we get Yogg Saron. That is cool, but I'm not going to cast him right away, so that is fine. I'm assuming he's going to attack. Oh, he's not. That is interesting. Alright, cool. I guess we should bait him out. First we'll discover a Taunt Minion, because that guy only costs 1 mana. I guess we should get Phi or Origami Crane as a pseudo removal tool. Yeah, Origami Crane. This card surprisingly saves me a lot. We're gonna put him in the center because sometimes putting your minions, depending on where you put your minions, that will somehow make your opponent behave strangely. But I had to go quiet over there just so I can hear Ragnaros say die insect, and for as long as he's alive, if it's the end of my turn, I'm going to go quiet, so just so that you guys can hear. And in fact, for your guys' sake, I will increase the volume just like Where they killed, well, one of the two of the guys for that matter, but giving Ragnaros the ability instead of Greybow here. Alright, now that he has 2 targets for his Die Insect, ooh, Mariam, thank you for that. That is, well, I could get Tyrantos down, but getting my own Ziliax down is also really nice. Or I can just use Yogg-Saron and have these 2 Ziliaxes kill each other. It's also a possibility. So we're gonna do that. Yogg-Saron could also pass spells that will be detrimental to us, but oh, we could also just take control of the enemy minion as well, so there's also that option. And Yogg-Saron will also be safe from let's see. Okay, yep, we got a bear, and my hand is still full, sadly. So and yeah, they will kill each other, and Yogg-Saron will be there. That sounds so satisfying to hear. Thank you, Ragnaros. And I also turned off the music just in case copyright is a thing that can happen. And there's Reno. Okay, sure. I am honestly completely fine with that. I have plenty of other stuff that I will happily do in this deck. Okay, yep, and changing arcane shots, and yeah, I know my hand is too full. That is fine. I'll just get Tarantas down, and that'll be it. Go, pass back. Deal with it. Can you deal with a 14-14 opponent? I'm pretty sure he doesn't. Unless, of course, he has an effect that just allows him to just straight up destroy a creature. That doesn't target, of course. And there it is. Boomboss Thogran is a the win con that a lot of the Reno decks use. It shuffles TNT into the deck and starts destroying stuff. But I think he used it like way too early there, so that is a bonus in my book. So now we literally just have free reign to just attack. We could get Snuggle Teddy down, or we could use Malfurion's Gift as a way to get rid of Boomboss Thogran here, but we have a blocker. So there is that. What we can do is we'll just set up even more blockers here. So we'll swap Hell with this. Now it's a 0-1. Oh, now it's a 7-1. Now we just need somebody with Rush. I don't think we have that here. I guess... well, Kevlar Bear will just keep getting bigger, so there is that. We'll get... I guess Swipe. Then we'll just deal 4 damage and then just kill this guy outright. There we go. Furion, go with your attack. And there we go. Careful Bear gets bigger with every turn that passes, so there is that. I can make him like insanely huge, but at the current moment where we have this game like perfectly handled. Dirty Rat, good. What do you summon? Careful Teddy. Oh no, God. Because you did that, the Gigantify doesn't trigger. Shit. Ooh, there we go. Deep Minded Cry. Right? So all of his battle cries now triggered twice. If I remember correctly, the lore regarding Reno and Bran, they're in like the same party, if I remember correctly. We're gonna put here because we can. And then we will use her ability to refresh her mana crystals. Again, that is literally the only purpose she has in this deck. Then we will attack for 6 points of damage because we literally cannot do anything else here. And then we will put... I don't want to have to put Ziliax yet when we don't really need him. So we'll just put Greybow down as another way to get there we go, we'll attack with that. We don't really need to restore health just yet, so we're just going to pass back to our opponent here. I am not quite sure what else my opponent could do here. I am just slowly but surely chipping away at his stuff. Deal 2 damage, sure, that bypasses a lot of the protection that it has, or rather that I have. Okay, sure. That is not going to help you in this exact situation. I don't know what else my opponent is going to do here. But again, Reno is honestly a really interesting concept. But my opponent's just dead here. So I'll just attack. I'll just make it easy. I'll just attack her. This is why people love it. This is why some people hate the Renafall decks, because sometimes it just drags the game out for way too long. But me personally, I love it. I love inflicting just a little bit of misery to my opponents in this game. So yeah, victory in our books. Let's move on to the next game.
Malfurion versus Sai!
I am literally just going to let the announcer announce the people who are fighting. But we're facing off against a Death Knight, and Death Knight is insane in standard right now. So this is going to either be a really tough matchup or a grindy one. Because anything Death Knight throws at me, I can just like very easily recover.
I see you.
But having the Renathal, oh god, we're both Renathal decks, so this will not be easy in the slightest. But one thing that you can do in the field while your opponent does their thing is you can just go around with the field. Like in this particular field where I will actually happily do that. I will turbo that out. Thank you very much. So we now have 3 extra mana crystals for our mana pool. So I'll just get rid of all the ice. You know, just do a little spring cleaning here.
My pain doesn't compare to your
I don't care. That's just 1 damage. I'm at 40 health. He's also at 40 health, but that's 3 mana, please. Yes, thank you. There we go. We'll keep ramping. No, not you, Stonehill Traveler. There we go. Almost misclick there. Holy shit. Let's get rid of all this ice. Let's just make this just a little bit cleaner. There we go. I believe that's no longer... Oh, okay. That is also ice. So let's clean up the ice here. There we go. There we go. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. We shouldn't touch the hammer because that will summon Frostmourne, and it will give us even more ice that is going to be present in this battlefield. Okay, yep. Swinging in for 4. That is, well, 5. But I don't think that's going to be... Oh, God. So it's Plagues. Alright, alright. There's going to be a problem now. So we have 2 plans of attack. I could just... I'll discover a minion first, and let's see what comes up. Not that good. So we'll just get Number Cruncher here, because we don't really play mechs, so there's that. And then, hopefully this 1/5 guy will carry us to victory somehow. He will need 1 other minion in order to kill this guy, so there's also that. Oh, right, he has free access. He has Ghoul Charge. I forgot, Death Knight can do that. But he only has 2 corpses so far, as you can see right here. He only has a small handful of mana. I'm already up to 7 at this point, so... he's going to kill the Stonehill Defender, which, okay, no skip by that. But I'm going to need to be more offensive soon. And granted, I don't want to have to use Number Cruncher's rush for...
My pain doesn't compare to
just
your
to kill the other
plague.
stuff that my opponent is doing here. I don't want to have to kill them as well because it shuffles Plagues into my deck. And I'm going to actually draw a card here because I need a card draw like immediately here. And again, I don't want to kill the Cavaldiers because it shuffles Plagues into my deck. So we'll do this, and then we'll gain health. There we go. Even more health, and then we'll gain even more health. It has Rush, granted, but God, should I just bite the bullet? I guess I should. There we go. Yeah, it gets even more Plagues into my deck. 1 measly point of damage. But we're not drawing so hot. I haven't gotten into any of my draw spells. My opponent is technically ahead of us, even though we have the mana advantage. But I've been drawing nothing but mana advantage. I have not been drawing into action. Ragnaros is decent for next turn, but if we end up drawing a Plague instead, we will be taking damage that we otherwise shouldn't have. But that's just the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. Okay, yep, going to group charge right away. I'm assuming he's going to try to kill... Okay, yep, killing my minion first, or rather making it easier to kill my minion first. And then just swinging in for 3 points of damage, I assume. Death Knight Plagues are just the worst. Okay, Cactus Construct will hopefully be some. Ooh, we'll get gold. I'll get gold panner. Thank you very much.
I smell golden in their waters.
That will allow us to recover like significantly here. I don't want to spend the other gold banner just yet. The hardcore cultist has already done its job, so I don't think attacking into that will be too much help. So we'll just swing in, and then do I really want to draw 2 cards? I guess I do, because my hand has been dry. So we draw 2, and we got Torontos as well, so that will help us in our future turns. Although granted, that will allow my opponent to use their Kivaldir to shuffle even more plagues into my deck. So I'm already like very far behind. So I am not too confident about my odds here. So as much as I said that it's interesting to watch Hearthstone, it's been going really goddamn. Okay, so it will be interesting. I was just gonna cut to the next point that's even more interesting than what's already happening now, but I'm not too sure what's going to happen here. They did discover something, and I am taking 5, but we're gonna see what else happens here. Unless, okay, just passing back, and finally drawing our plague. That's 2. Ooh, Ziliax is pretty goddamn good. That will allow us to recover a lot of health, but in return, we're going to get all the plagues. Ow, that is bad. Although granted, we do have 3 mana left, so we can use our Gem Tosser anyway. Then we'll just get a little more health here, just as preparation for those that are going to come up. And then we will casually inflict 10 damage to my opponent here. Just even the playing field just a little bit. And we have some padding against the plagues that my opponent has been shuffling into my deck here. But I am not too confident about our odds, so until something else more interesting happens, I will be cutting here and see you guys at that point. Okay, so just a small update here. Okay, my opponent found a pseudo board wipe, eliminating my gold banner. I mean, I already drew my 1 card off of it, so good thing I didn't. I discovered another gold banner thanks to the Cactus Construct, but opponent already drew a semi board wipe, although it also inflicted like a significant amount of damage to all of my creatures.
Take a good look. You ain't never
Raska,
seen
the
a
pit
mat
boss.
again.
Oh boy, what does this do again? Take control of an enemy minion if it dies. I'm guessing. Oh god, it took Ziliax. Great. Okay, yep. Trading that with okay, yep. All right. My opponent is playing this really well. So there is that, but I will have to kill this guy, unfortunately. There we go. And take the 1. There we go. As much as I want to meme it up and play Ragnaros here, I really should. I really should. I want to meme it up. Hold on. Let's hear that line. There we go. All right. He took the 8 damage. There we go. All right. I'm already satisfied. I heard die insect. There we go. This is definitely a must answer if he doesn't set any minions soon. I am grinding this game really well. Like holy shit. I can't pull Frostmourne out. Why can't I pull Frostmourne? I should probably do something about that. But yeah, one thing that I don't know how many times I've said already, but at least there are far more clickables on the Hearthstone field than it is on the Master Duel field, and they do far more, especially when you do certain things. And I don't quite know if there are like quote-unquote guides on when you click on something in a specific sequence, or if you do something to certain objects a certain number of times, they will do something instead. Or rather, something special instead. But I haven't seen that yet, so we'll get to that when we get there. Opponent played a Hollow Hound. Okay, sure. At attack, Stonehill Defender. They gain a little bit of health. Sure. What does this do? Gain lifesteal. That is not going to do too much here. Okay. We have a lot of mana and barely anything to do with it. I guess I should keep going Wild Growths. But I think I'd rather just barf out my whole hand here. That. Oh my god, we still have enough mana for this. There we go.
Job's done.
Sure. We'll get our one card for the gold pattern, Penitent Earth. And sorry, Ragnaros, I covered up your voice line there, but yeah, die insect, and it hit it. I won the 50-50. It hit the opponent rather than the minion, so that's already something. There we go. Finally killing Ragnaros, so he will no longer be a problem. But he has bigger problems to worry about because I have a 1/2 that will draw me a card at the end of my turn, and he has to get through 2 blockers in order to do it. Okay, sure. Yep, that is fine. He gains a little bit of health, and good God, I did not quite think that Death Knight Plagues are gonna be like this fucking grindy. Holy shit. Okay, so I cast Marin, and hopefully that will get me something. I said in the deck tech that I normally go for Wondrous Wand, but I don't have a hand at the moment, so I'm going to go for Tolin's Goblet. And hopefully the RNG gods are going to be kind to me and give me something, draw me into something that will help me in this specific situation. Because good God, I can't kill my opponent, but my opponent can't kill me either. Good God, this duel is going on for way longer than I expected it would. Oh Jesus Christ! Let's move to the next interesting point, or I'm just gonna wait until my opponent passes back to me, or I'll just wait until I have the chance to cast Tolin's Goblet here. Jesus Christ. Okay, boys and girls, and everyone in between, let's gamble and let's see who we get. We got copies of the Golden fucking Kobold. Oh boy, you wanna gamble even more? But we're gonna use Rat first so that we can get rid of one of my opponent's blockers here. They're not poisonous at the very least, but we can literally replace our whole hand here with legendary minions instead. So we're gonna do that right now, and let's gamble again. We will gamble yet again, and let's see who we get. And they'll cost 1 less, so there's also that. Ooh, these are actually freaking decent. Holy shit. Especially Sourfang. Holy shit. This guy is going to be he's going to be an annoying recurring shit that piece of shit that I can just keep summoning. So yeah, we'll get Sourfang in here. Then we'll get, cast a copy of the first spell you draw each turn at enemies. Sure, we'll also get that guy as well. Then we'll get that guy there. We'll just pass back to our opponent. Okay. We got a surprising number of good, like oh god. Oh, the only thing that is actually a dud here is Kingpin Pud, because we don't have Ogre Gangs. He is decently statted at the very least, but the other minions, they're like all really good. Although we won't be getting Purified Dragoness because I have no idea what this is in my deck. We have duplicates of Plagues anyway, and there we go. There's the win condition, which will allow us to once we draw a Plague, we'll highly likely die at that point. But Sourfang is an eternal blocker, and we can hopefully regain some health as we play with this game. So we're gonna find out how far we get here. Throg Gem Tosser is a card that I did not expect that I was gonna get, but okay, so do I want a mage spell or do I want an Ashbringer? And I'm gonna get a fucking Ashbringer. So there is that. And why didn't... Oh, it's a Death Rattle. Fuck, it's not what I thought it was. Okay, we're gonna kill this guy first. Then we'll use Greybow here. That. Then we'll go here. There we go. We're not going to equip anything. We're not going to use Khadgar yet because that didn't start in the deck. That is fascinating. Do I play this 8 mana? That'll have us a couple left over. I am doing math for the Frog Gem. The math is off. I'm not gonna
For the wild.
There we go. We'll just attack with that, and we'll see what my opponent has for me here. The stuff that I have in hand will highly likely just change the way that this game, change the way the texture of this game will go, because I got rid of their win con essentially, which is hell yeah. Yeah, they're drawing cards. They barely have anything left. Although granted, they're also a Renathal deck, so they
Careful,
have,
the cold can go straight to your head.
I know.
I'm off it.
And he concedes. Yeah, he even had the gall. But yeah, I definitely felt like I outground him there. If he didn't have any other answers, he will eventually die within like 2-3 turns. But otherwise, yeah, whoo boy, that duel went on for way longer than I thought. I guess I have an enemy to do one more because my deck was quite long. So let's move on to the last duel.
Malfurion versus Thrall.
The one thing that I like about Hearthstone is I
must protect
played
the wild.
Warcraft 3 extensively when I was like a wee young lad, and a lot of the names here at the very least, the characters that appeared in Warcraft 3, they're very familiar, and I am not too lost in translation. But unfortunately, once they start getting into the characters that were introduced in World of Warcraft, which is the MMORPG, I can definitely be like smooth-brained at that point. But otherwise, yeah. Thrall is like one of the main protagonists for the storyline of the of that game. So there's also that, and I do not want any of this at all. What the fuck? Oh my god. I guess I'd rather have the elusive dragon instead. So there's that. Ugh. That was a bad discover. Oh, Jesus Christ. So to get to the question, will I be having Hearthstone moving forward? Absolutely yes, because for all the flack that people give this game, it's at least, decent to watch. It's entertaining to watch at that. I'm not gonna get rid of your totem. Granted, it does draw them one card a turn, but I'll deal with it later. For now, we're gonna wrap. And let's see where it goes from there. We're gonna need to deal with this totem later because it draws them a card every turn. But for now, it'll be fine. It's just there. It's Shaman Warrior. Now that I'm looking at it, like, oh, Jesus Christ. As if Shaman didn't need any more help. But good God. Okay. Yep. Transform a friendly minion. Will you use that location immediately? Probably yes? Question mark? Really? You don't want to draw cards anymore? I guess you probably already have what you need in hand.
So easily.
Okay, turn it into a 4-3. So that is decent, but it's still pretty far from being too threatening because we're still at like full life. Because we're a Renathal deck. So we're just gonna see what else they do here. We have Cactus Cutter, which is, I believe, from Showdown in the Badlands, which is the Western themed set that Hearthstone has. And I'm gonna sneeze, so excuse me for a second. Okay, we're back, and my opponent put up a lot of blockers, and not too much for me to worry about, fortunately. Would I rather just clear like the two other blockers like immediately? I guess I should. So we'll use Swipe on the 4 toughness one, and then we'll use do I want to use Trail Mix or do I want to discover a Taunt minion here? I guess we'll discover a Taunt minion first, and then we'll see what everyone shakes off after the fact. Bouldering Buddy is along the same lines as Torantas. You'd rather have him on the turn that you have a 10th mana crystal instead. So we'll get him as an investment for the future. And 5 toughness is nothing to shake at, so he's going to have a tough time using. Granted, only 2 swings from the sediment will kill this guy, but let's see what happens. Okay, summoning a copy of it, and okay, Keyboard Soloist. If you control no other minions, summon 2 1/2 amps with spell damage +1. Oh dear God. Doing that, so he's going to keep scaling up, and he controls the location, so he would have drawn 2 cards if he cast it from his hand, but unfortunately he doesn't. So now Stonehill Defender, it doesn't make sense for him to attack, so we'll just plan out ahead for the future here. Would I rather get 2 random nature spells and then set it up for next turn? Yes. We'll get 2 random nature spells.
I don't have enough mana.
I know I can't cast that. Gain 3 armor to upgrade. What gives us armor here? Probably not. Do I draw the 1 card now? Probably not. We'll do it later. We'll get Fairy Dragon because it's elusive anyway, and then I'm not going to upgrade this just yet. Yeah, we'll just pass back. Go. And he's not going to be able to profitably attack into any one of my opponent's minions anyway, so there is that. My opponent is quickly catching up to us here, but I'm not too worried yet because they're not doing anything too oppressive just yet. But the healing totem is definitely something that they would have wanted. And, ooh, well, granted, elusive only protects from spells and hero powers, so there is that. Okay, yep. So now we have 10 mana. Oh dear God, that doesn't help. So we're going to get the manager here, and let's see what happens. We'll get one this one because our hand is still pretty flush here. So we'll draw our 3, and what do we get? Tortolan Traveler, okay, Stonehill Defender, okay, and a Hydration Station. Alright, cool. So we'll put our 2 defenders in here, each one like Marin, and then, ooh, do we go for the battle cry and the quick draw here? But it's only a 2/3 unfortunately, so it doesn't scale too well. We'll just get the Anubishath here, and then we'll pass back to our opponent. And let's see what else they got. Now that we have a slightly decent board, but nothing too much on the offensive side yet. Okay, yep, and we drew the Golden Kobold, so we can transform this hand to whatever else we want here. We're not overloaded, unfortunately, so this is a 5-cost deal 6 to a minion. That's unfortunate. Wave of Nostalgia, okay, sure. What did we get? Shuffle and okay, yeah. These are all just battle rattles. We're looking for death rattles. And Snip Snap is the only one that is decent enough, unfortunately. Oh my god. Okay, so do we get the Anubishat? We'll use Bouldering Body for later, and now we're waiting for that to bloom. I guess we'll get this guy here. We'll deal our 5 damage there. There we go. And then Snip Snap. Happily die here. Servos, and then we'll use this to finish it off. There we go. And then we need to gain 3 armor, but we'll gain 10 later. We'll just get I guess we'll just get this guy down just as a blocker. And yeah, there we go. My opponent excuse me. I have the sniffles. I don't know why. But we're not. Oh god, Golden Sorcerer. Oh god, he's gonna cheese. Oh Jesus. Oh no, I'm just hungry. Okay, yep, 7. Yep, rating. Yep, 3. Do you kill my 1/1s? Absolutely, yeah. It would only make sense for you to just completely just ignore those. They're not gonna do too much. Because you have a 3/6 blocker anyway, so why would you do that? But now, you can drop this for 1 piece of mana, and then his lone blocker. Start attacking. Here. Nope. Right, cool. This guy has actually been, I believe, nerfed. He now costs 8 mana, if I remember correctly. Now we're going to gain our 3 armor so that we can last a little bit longer. There we go with the cards and Greybow. Ooh, Greybow is something, but let's deal 4 damage to a minion. Who do we kill? What does this guy do? Battle Cry. Battle Cry. This guy's just big. This guy's just big. This one is a tourist. Ooh, okay. Because he will just upgrade stuff, and I don't want that.
Time waits for no one.
Then we're going to summon out Greybow, and that'll be that. There we go. My opponent can definitely kill me in any number of ways. I will not be surprised if he manages to find lethal here, because he has a lot of big minions that can just easily trade with other minions. But yeah. I'll just see you guys either at the end of the duel where I lose like horribly, or at the next exclusive point where I somehow survive. Okay, somehow, some way I am surviving. I have 2 copies of Greybow, which should honestly just be illegal. But why would you kill Greybow first? You should always kill the other creatures around Greybow first. Opponent, did you not get the memo? Because it'll just summon another copy of Greybow, and I believe both copies of Greybow like got onto the Anubishath or something. One of these guys got it, but yeah. Also, during my turn, when I was using Cactus Construct, I got the Stereo Totem, which is a really good minion, or rather a really good totem for that matter. But I managed to somehow reduce his board to just this. Now I just no, excuse me. Now I just have to deal with the Sea Giant. Otherwise, all of his other minions are like, I can easily deal with these guys. Holy shit. As much as I want to use the Golden Kobold, I have other priorities. And I'll just get the Glowing Buddy and just attack into this guy. Oh my god. I cannot believe I am outlasting my opponent like this. So we'll summon out Prince Renathal because we can. Then we'll use Pendant of the Earth to gain a little bit of health back. Of course I'm gonna get Ziliax. As much as I want to steal my opponent's mana crystals, I am fine.
Can't do that.
With whatever it is I'm doing here. Alright, so we'll get Seer Totem, and then so that we can buff, hopefully, Ziliax a little. There we go. Now he's an 8/7. Granted, I mean, he only has 2 cards in hand. I have no idea if my opponent can still even weasel their way out of it. Although, granted, they do have 10 mana. There we go, right. The Gigantify definitely helps him a little, but we're gonna see how far this goes. And a lot of his other minions can... Wow, he is choosing to not attack. I don't know why you would do that, opponent. So we'll get rid of... This is... I don't know why he didn't attack, like, Jesus Christ. He had all the opportunity to do what he needed to do, but he chose not to do it.
His
Okay.
reign ends now.
He has no blockers. Oh, that's interesting. We'll just attack,
His reign
attack.
ends now.
There we go. And then we'll summon out our 8/7. Who can very easily deal with the 2 8-attack minions there, and we'll, you know, just for good measure,
For the wild.
we're going to attack with Malfurion. There we go. Alright, and Golden Kobold is also getting pretty goddamn big as well. Holy shit. Again, I have no idea if my opponent is pretty much out of gas, unless of course he draws into something miraculous here. Alright, Cool, getting another totem. Opponent's still fighting, so there is that. Okay, Muck Pools will definitely, hopefully, get into a situation here, or rather get him out of this situation. Okay, using the first seal, so it summons a demon, and then the second seal is now in his hand. So he's still fighting, he is still fighting, and I got a bomb. Shit. So, although granted, I am at full health, so, and he doesn't have any blockers, so this is... I was gonna attack, but if you're just gonna concede, then so be it. Let's just move on to the end screen. Okay, we're here at the end screen, and I promise you guys, there will be more Hearthstone duels moving forward, because I already did a really long and scuffed deck here. But otherwise, yeah, you guys see that this deck can grind with the best of them. I still cannot believe that I can outlast a lot of Reno decks, given what this deck has, because if anything, this deck actually does not have the punching power necessary to really close out games quickly, but a lot of the minions in this deck are just statted just enough to inflict the right amount of damage to just, you know, win games. And once I start recovering all of the tools that I have lost, I mean, yeah, this deck has it, and it has just enough draw engines to, you know, again, outlast the rest of them. And Pendant of Earth just tutors what is necessary. And yeah, granted, I won't be playing Standard for too long, because again, I don't like rotating formats. But for as long as this specific build is legal, I will play Standard for as long as this build exists. And the moment too many of these cards rather are no longer Standard legal, then we're going to move on to the non-rotating format, which is the Wild format, and I will discuss the deck that I've been playing there when I do indeed get there. But otherwise, yeah, we're gonna cut the video here, and as a celebration, we're gonna cut it by opening 2 packs. Okay, we're here at the pack opening screen, and the packs are from Perils in Paradise, which is one of the more recent packs that came out of Hearthstone. And I'm usually not too lucky with this, but we're gonna see. Ooh, we have a rare. You can tell because the aura is blue. So we're gonna see Marooned Archmage, Mage. I don't play Mage, Priest, Demon Hunter, Resort Valet. Okay, so let's see what our rare is, and it's Nightshade Tea. Yeah, it's for Priest. God, I actually don't know what's the one for Druid. I just know that all of the classes get at least one drink each. So there is that, but none of the cards are here for me. And if I haven't already said it, I will say it now. I will only play Druid for my time here in Hearthstone. Similar to what I did in Shadowverse, which is Dragoncraft, which is just Druid but with dragons instead, and which is really funny because Dragon Druid is also a legit standard deck right now, and in Shadowverse they just made it into an entire archetype. So let's see what we get. Alright, we got another rare, so we'll get to that one later. Paladin, Warrior. This is a really annoying card to fight against, especially if we get into the late game. Hydration Totem, and then Eat the Imp. Destroy friendly minion to draw 3 cards. That you would want that anyway. So let's see what our rare is. It's a rogue card. Alright, I will literally just be dusting a couple of cards, and I'll finally be able to make maybe just one card that has been in my back burner for a while now. So we're gonna cut it here, and yeah, there will be more Hearthstone videos moving forward. So if you guys like what you saw and you want to see more of Hearthstone, hit like, comment, subscribe, and share this among your friends. And until next time, toodles.